Hey, nutraMetrix consultants and health professionals. I have a fun takeover series today, and I feel super blessed to share the best kept secret with nutraMetrix with all of you. If you don't all know Betsy Bartlett, research coordinator for nutraMetrix. I asked her what her title was right before we got on live, because I feel like it should be like MacGyver of nutraMetrix sometimes. The things that Betsy has done, she's celebrating her year this month with nutraMetrix, our division, and we have been able to get so much accomplished. Betsy, I appreciate your professionalism. I appreciate your dedication. I appreciate the translation that you do of Dr. Mason to the rest of the field, because that can be an insurmountable task in and of itself. And so welcome to my Facebook Takeover series.
Thank you. Thank you. Those kind words are making me blush, but Thank you. I appreciate it.
It was such a pleasure to spend the weekend with you. And you can tell I did many hours of talking, and my voice is not 100% back yet. But this was so important that I said, forget it. Voice or no voice, we're coming to the fields because we have some important things to talk about. This weekend was incredible, Betsy. Like it was run so beautifully. And the one thing that I always say is, how do we get more health professionals to experience what we're doing? So let's just start by talking about what are the opportunities that are left for this year for our health professionals to work with us.
Okay, so we have 3 online summits that will be coming up the remainder of the year. First one will be April 26th. It's a Thursday. The second one will be on July 26th, which is also a Thursday, and then October 19th is a Friday. So those are the dates that we have carved out right now. Those could change, but hopefully not. We're going to try to stick with those. We're going to change the timing up a little bit. Some of the feedback we got about the past online summits is that they were a little too long for people to take away from their weekday. So we're going to try to maybe do just 4 hours or 3 hours, somewhere around lunchtime, to make it easier for our health practitioners to be able to log on and maybe just take a longer lunch break so that they can get in all the things that they were hoping to. And then nutraMetrix is a proud supporter of the nutraMetrix Educational Institute. And we have a course coming up, or they have a course coming up, in June in Charleston, the 22nd through the 24th. So that's a good opportunity for health professionals to get some training outside of our product training, but they still get exposed to our great clinical faculty. 2 of them which spoke this past weekend. So Dr. Deidre Mason and Dr. Dan Wachowski will both be at the nutraMetrix Educational Institute course. So, and then we have Emmy Hasoda, which is, she's amazing. She can't stump her. She's like Dr. D, but even more knowledgeable, it seems like sometimes. So she's great to have, and we're excited for that.
That's awesome. Another thing I want the consultants to remember to think about is also product symposium. I don't think that people realize that product symposium slides are usually where all of the slide decks start, and then they either get more clinical or more marketing, depending on who presents off of those. And so I think that product symposium is also a magical event to bring a provider to. But all right, that also, I'm going to skip around with the questions, because depending on which event you plug a health professional into, they all have a different culture. Betsy, did you go to product symposium?
I did not.
You have not.
So I have looked at many slides.
So there's a different culture to product symposium, and you went to World Conference and International Convention, and there's a different culture to those, and then there's a different feeling of an online summit to then even our HP product and implementation course. One of the things about product symposium, which I find really cool, is that some of the teams, they have this thing where they like to bring all of the products that they use and put them at the front of the table, and they're just taking products all day. And if you haven't experienced that and seen that, people feel a little like FOMO, right? Like missing out on, well, I didn't bring all my products. So I usually like to tell people, like, that's not what our team does, because it's not what my team does, but you are going to see it. And so if you do feel like you want to participate in that, like, feel free. But you know, then there's other things like International Convention, World Conference, depending on where you sit, gets a little cold sometimes, right? So like, bring layers, and they're not going to let your snacks in. You're going to be frisked when you get in. How are you? Can you give us any advice on like setting expectations? Because certainly you were at the front desk this weekend, and sometimes our health professionals, it doesn't seem as if they have all the information. So can you give some best advice on setting expectations from the NC to the HP on the event that they're attending?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like it starts with us putting out the right information from the start. But we still know that there are those people, I don't know where they live, under a rock maybe, that don't look at Facebook or don't check their emails. But those are the two main avenues that we're going to use to get the information out there. But I feel like our email is also a great way to reach us. Myself, I'm pretty Johnny on the spot when it comes to answering emails and giving information. And if you just email nutraMetrix at nutraMetrix.com, you're going to, if it's a question for me, they're going to forward it to me or to Dr. Mason directly. So that's going to be your best avenue to get the most accurate information. Even on the NC and HP pages, I feel like sometimes information gets a little misconstrued. So if there's any question about what they can expect from a course, it's always best to go to the source. And I'm usually going to be the first line of defense when it comes to that. The online summits, I feel, are a nice short way to introduce either an HP that might not already be with us at nutraMetrix to our clinical faculty, and they're free for now. So I would say take advantage of that before we start charging and offering CMEs through the online courses. It's a really great way to introduce an HP that might be on the fence, and they get to watch and get exposed to Dr. Mason every time, and then a different clinical faculty, and usually either you or Brandy gives a presentation about implementation. So it's a nice all-around thing where they don't have to leave their office, and they don't have to worry about somebody frisking them, and they don't have to worry about them not being able to bring their snacks in or being cold. They can kind of do it in the comfort and privacy of their practice, and that's a great way to kind of get your feet wet, and then you push the heavier events like product symposium or coming to international convention or world conference, depending on what time of year it is, or even going to the nutraMetrix Educational Institute course. We don't, or they don't really talk about product at all, but it is, like I said, a great way to get exposed to our philosophy and our clinical faculty without having to, push the product as much if that's not where you're at with that HP yet.
Yeah, well, nutraMetrix does usually sponsor a lunch, so we do a few lunchtime nutraMetrix presentations. So
so they will get a little bit. No, yeah, you're right. No, they get a little exposure to the implementation side of it, and it's just a great way to network. But the online courses, I really feel, are like untapped gold as far as existing HPs that can't get to the longer trainings that are all 3 days on a weekend, or new HPs that aren't really sure, and you want to be like, well, can you please just watch this, because you'll see that our clinical faculty and our training and sales staff are amazing, and the support is phenomenal. So
it's true. Top notch. I mean, that's what I love about it. And for anyone listening, you just totally dropped a bomb. So that, yes, guys, we're trying to get online CMEs. So we're working on the technology. So I feel like when you come here and you watch one of these Facebook takeover series, you never know what's going to happen. But we're like doing some very, very exciting things. Again, Betsy was, you've been so huge, Betsy, in helping us work out and do research and put it all together. So, how early should we start inviting people? And on the flip side, how late is too late to invite people to events?
Well, for the online summits, I manage those, and I can usually finish, like I usually ask to registrations to stop by 5 p.m. the day before, because it does take a little time. It's not an instant approval. They request a registration link, and we simply look up their HP distributor ID if they're already with nutraMetrix, or we request a license if they're not already with nutraMetrix. And that's really all it is. We want any licensed health professional to be able to join not only our HP course or the Educational Institute course, but also the online summits. We just have to have a license on file before we approve the registration. So again, that just is emailed to me, and I can usually get it right away and get it approved very, very quickly. It's just in the morning getting set up for it. As you can imagine, computer glitches and new faculty every time, and trying to teach them how to use the webinar system. Computers don't always cooperate, so we try to say no registrations that morning, only because we can't guarantee we're going to get to it with all the other business and hoopla going on around us trying to get set up for the day. But there's still a few that come in last minute, and we'll approve you if we have time, and we welcome that. It's the same thing for the health professional course this weekend. We had people registering at the door. We had somebody that came a day late. We had somebody that came 2 days late. And I was sitting there every day to welcome them and get them in the course. And unfortunately, we had, and I guess I shouldn't say unfortunately, fortunately, we had more people than we expected. So we were improvising with some of the slides and the binders, but I feel like everybody got the material that they needed, and we've had great feedback. And so it was, so we don't want to say there's a deadline, because we want you to always feel welcome, and we'll do our best to accommodate you no matter how late it is.
But set the expectations that, that we're not a professional events company. We are an education. We are a resource. We're a product brokerage company that happens to do these events. And so, Betsy's the team, guys. That's the team, is Betsy. And I want to, on here, congratulate Harvmit Huang, who did have someone come just for the last day, and just keep pushing and not taking no for an answer and getting someone there. And there was a huge impact for his guest health professional, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it was great. He was one of the ones that didn't get to attend the whole time, but it was great to see him and meet him, because I've never met him, and all of our correspondence is usually via email. So it was really nice to put faces with names this past weekend, because a lot of them I just don't see. So it's nice.
Well, when you come to New England, we want to welcome you with open arms, because we want nutraMetrix to come back. Can you just give me a couple sound bites of what were some like breakthroughs and ahas and things that you heard from participants this weekend?
I feel like a lot of the health professionals didn't realize the intimacy of the setting that they were going to be in, and how much we were going to encourage them to ask questions and network, that it wasn't simply just a sit, listen, we're going to train you. It was a course of learning and open to questions and networking. I felt a lot of them stayed after all the days to not only, once the presenters left, they stayed and shared their notes with each other, because it's so much information packed into a short amount of time that your colleague could catch something interesting that you didn't catch. And so it's always a nice thing to stay after and be like, did you hear that? Wasn't that amazing? And maybe they didn't. And so then you shared something with someone that they didn't hear or they didn't know. And I feel like too, it was, and I don't know if it was reiterated enough this weekend, that we definitely welcome any licensed health professional to take that course. You don't have to be a nutraMetrix health professional take the course. You can come as a licensed health professional, either with nutraMetrix already or with Market America already, or you can be outside the company altogether, and we'd still welcome you to come and take the course and get the knowledge and get exposed to the great people that we have in nutraMetrix. I mean, and I think that's the one thing I feel like people need to realize more, is that we want to welcome any and all health professionals to come and learn. And it's a great way to get exposed to nutraMetrix.
That's very true. So we have a call in a couple minutes, Betsy, and you and I think, are going to talk about just more marketing for our events, trying to get out some social media posts, some infographics, some things, ways that we can help the field communicate these great offerings, the 3 more summits, figuring out, how we can promote product symposium through our health professional channel. We're always brainstorming, but it's helpful if you have any roadblocks or you're looking for something and we don't have it as a resource, just email nutraMetrix at nutraMetrix.com. That's how we create a lot of our things, is just hearing, oh, well, I'm off to a networking event, but I don't know where to find this information. I don't know how to easily share this information. And we'll create that. That's what we do. We're the sales, the marketing team. Again, there's not many of us, so we do the best that we can to put it together. And I know I'm mostly facing you guys in the field, so I want to introduce you to the people like Betsy that you don't get to see. And then, you see Malika and Carla and Gustavo and Jennifer at events, and we all work together. So let us know, give us that feedback, because we don't always have, the field communication to know what's working, what's not working, how we can make it easier. We got to get more people in front of Betsy because she's just so amazing. So send more of your health professionals to the events. Betsy just treated every single person like it was, her own personal event. I know maybe this was like a slight trial run, Betsy, for your wedding this year. And it was like, hey, nice to come. So yeah, Betsy's got a lot of events that she has to plan this year. It's a very big year for her.
Speaking of that, I will have the flyer ready for the first online summit by next week, and I will post it, and we'll start getting that information out and getting the registration link out. And again, if anybody needs to know any more about it, or they can't find the flyer, or they want me to just email them the flyer directly so they can pass it along, I'll be happy to do that. Just email me at betsyb@nutrametrix.com or nutraMetrix at nutrametrix.com, and they'll always pass it along to me. And I'll make sure that we get as many people registered for this as possible. So look for that flyer next week for sure.
Betsy for president. That's what I want to say. So thank you so much, Betsy, for all that you do. Thanks for this. If you guys have a question, if you're watching this on a replay for Betsy, just tag her below, and we'll be sure to check back on this post throughout the day just to make sure that you understand the best ways that we're putting on events to expose your health professionals and giving you the best ways to go ahead and promote that through your networking channels. So, Betsy, I'll see you in a couple minutes on our call. And thanks, everyone, for this takeover series. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me. Bye.